Who is the most attractive Looney Tune, and you cannot pick the girl from Space Jam.
Her name is Lola.
You can't pick Lola from Space Jam.
She's lovely.
You can't pick her, though. She's intentionally supposed to be attractive for a rabbit.
Tweety.
Tweety?
I'd fuck Tweety so much.
You couldn't.
I would.
You're probably bigger than Tweety.
I'm not probably bigger than Tweety.
No, you know what I mean when I say bigger than Tweety.
I am bigger than
You would tear
Tweety.
her apart.
That's not my problem.
You're coming back to the whole meat condom thing, which we've discussed before, which disturbs me that we're at the point in our friendship where we've discussed using small creatures as condoms more than once.
It's not a condom. I don't fuck a condom. You fuck in a condom. I'm not using Tweety to fuck the grandma.
La 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 la. Here we go. It's the Bible reloaded, logic explosion, like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken, so get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up a pew and stop what you're doing. It's Bible reloaded time. They call it unaided, the theists will hate it. I'm talking to taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So I'm with the show then, it's not candy coated, it's the Bible reloaded with Hugo and Jake.
Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
This is the Bible Reloaded.
And we promise not to fuck any birds.
I'm not promising that. I don't enter into verbal contracts of any sort. So, last time we talked about Saul, and he killed a bunch of priests just to spite David, and now David is really mad and he's taken up sword and said, I'm not going to stand this any longer. So this episode we're going to talk about more David stuff, and we're going to begin in 1 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 7. Saul pursues David. Saul was told that David had gone to Keilah, and he said, God has delivered him into my hands, for David has imprisoned himself by entering a town with gates and bars.
That's not
Saul doesn't
imprisonment.
understand what gates and bars are for in cities.
No.
He believes they're cages to keep the people in, apparently.
No, opposite Saul.
They're trying to keep you out, Saul. Trust me. You'll find it difficult when you're like, these damn bars, they're two-way bars.
They're two ways.
I expected one-way bars. And Saul called up all of his forces for battle to go down to Keilah to besiege David and his men, because when I want to kill someone, I decide I'm going to slaughter an entire town. I'm Saul. When David learned that Saul was plotting against him, he said to Abiathar the priest, Bring the ephod.
Yeah.
David said, Lord, God of Israel, your servant has heard definitely that Saul plans to come to Keilah and destroy the town on account of me. Will the citizens of Keilah surrender me to him? Will Saul come down as your servant has heard? Lord, God of Israel, tell your servant.
So God, taking a break for the last, several chapters, decides, I have time for 4 words.
And the Lord said, He will. And David asked, Will the citizens of Keilah surrender me and my men to Saul? And the Lord said, They will.
And then David said, You bastards!
So David asked his men, about 600 in number, left Keilah and kept moving from place to place, much like David Banner, the Hulk.
I know. Why is just so easy?
He moves from place to place
So he
because no one can understand the raging spirit that dwells within him.
Or green.
Dun dun
I
dun.
think it's more the Lou Ferrigno.
I wish I had a deaf guy living inside of me that would come out every once in a while.
I was really, really into fitness, so I didn't have to be.
Yeah, right. And I could just switch and be like, "Oh, I'm helping a friend move." I don't need my hearing for that, but I do need strength. Lou Ferrigno, can we work out a deal? Lou Ferrigno is bizarro Arnold Schwarzenegger. Bodybuilder who stayed pretty much right at that level. Still has a funny voice, though.
Yeah, he does.
But it's not an accent. He has a disability. He shouldn't be laughing. Verse 14. David stayed in the wilderness strongholds and in the hills of the desert of Ziph. Day after day, Saul searched for him, but God did not give David into his hands.
Oh, thanks, God.
I'd like to imagine he has, David, right up here, on a string, and Saul's jumping for it, but every time he jumps, he moves it a little higher, you can't get it. Why didn't you just grab it? God's an asshole.
Jeez.
While David was at Haresh in the desert of Ziph, he learned that Saul had come out to take his life.
Oh.
I don't know why he's surprised, he's been doing this for quite a while. And Saul's son Jonathan went to David at Horesh and helped him find strength in God.
What? Okay.
Because Jonathan can find David just like that, easily.
No big deal. They did have kind of a...
They had a psychic bond.
Maybe they write letters to each other and they're really sexy letters.
Maybe. A little bit of perfume. And before, I'm going to point this out in this episode, we had some Christians complain that we were saying that Jonathan and David were like a gay couple.
Yeah, they're not. We're making
No,
a joke.
it's a joke. Obviously, within the context of the canon, they're just friends. And
Right.
like the kissing thing, yes, today in parts of the world, that's still a very common platonic thing to do.
Yeah, Hugo and I kiss all the time, open mouth. And
The
it's
point is, we're
totally
making
platonic.
a joke. If we say something so absurd that you think we're so stupid for thinking it, you can assume it's a joke. We're not a serious show, guys. We talked about fucking Looney Tunes earlier.
I didn't just talk about it. I went through the logistics of it.
Yeah,
So.
Don't be afraid, Jonathan said. My father Saul will not lay a hand on you. You will be king over Israel, and I will be the second to you. Even my father Saul knows this.
Whoa, Jonathan. Think you're jumping to conclusions. I kind of had my hierarchy already planned out in my head, but, and you weren't number 2.
Yeah.
You were like 4.
I think he's a little rosy for this too. Like, yeah, sure, he's coming to hunt you, but it'll all be fine. Don't worry. Jonathan needs to worry a little more.
Touches his thigh. It's good now.
The two men made a covenant before the Lord, and Jonathan went home, but David remained at Horish. The Ziphites went up to Saul at Gibeah and said, Is not David hiding amongst us in the strongholds at Horish on the hill of Hakilah, south of Jeshimon?
Wow, they know exactly where he is.
Yes, that is an accurate description of the situation that is happening. You are correct. Now, your majesty, come down whenever it pleases you to do so, and we will be responsible for giving him into your hands. Saul replied, The Lord bless you for your concern for me. Go and get more information. Find out where David usually goes and who has seen him there. They tell me he is very crafty. Find out all about the hiding places he uses, and come back to me with the definite information. Then I will go with you if he is in the area. I will track him down amongst all the clans of Judah. I like that he's like, I'll track him down right after you tell me exactly where he is.
That's not tracking, Saul. That's directions. That's MapQuest.
So they set out and went to Ziph ahead of Saul. David and his men were in the desert of Maon, in the Arabah south of Jeshimon. That sounds like a Digimon.
Digimon.
Yeah.
Jeshimon! I look like an angel, but I'm also a dragon and a robot. That's probably already a thing. I didn't watch Digimon.
I didn't either.
That was the theme song for Jeshimon, though.
I was a Pokemon guy.
I was too.
Yeah. Saul and his men began the search, and when David was told about it, he went down to the rock and stayed in the desert of Maon.
The rock.
When Saul heard this, he went into the desert of Maon and in pursuit of David.
Desert of Maon!
Desert of Maon! Saul was going along one side of the mountain, and David and his men were on the other side, hurrying to get away from Saul. How do they know this?
How do
Because someone wrote this. Someone wrote this as a book. It's not historical. As Saul and his forces were closing in on David and his men to capture them, a messenger came to Saul saying, Come quickly, the Philistines are raiding the land.
What part? All of it.
The land!
They took our wheat.
Just hurry!
They're punching trees.
Then Saul broke off his pursuit of David and went to meet the Philistines. That is why they call the place Selah Hamalamananach. Yeah, that's a mouthful. And David went up from there and lived in the strongholds of En-Gedi. Now we move on to chapter 24. David spares Saul's life, which is only the first time he will be sparing Saul's life, because if we know anything about David, he makes poor life choices. He makes poor life choices and never learns from them.
A choice is a horse choice.
That's the worst joke you could have made.
No, I'm not. Well, that's not going in.
No, I'm saying on a personal level, that's the worst joke you could have made. After Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, he was told, David is in the desert of En-Gedi. So Saul took 3,000 able young men from all Israel and set out to look for David and his men near the crags of the wild goats.
We're in fucking Mordor.
Just near the crags of the wild goats. You think Saul was impressed? He's like, man, they can scale almost vertical surfaces.
I know.
I'm so impressed.
Look at those crags, and look at those goats traverse them.
Oh, we should call this the crags of the wild goats. It's already what it's called, Saul. That's how we knew to come here. Oh. Verse 3. He came to the sheep pens along the way. A cave was there, and Saul went in to relieve himself. David and his men were far back in the cave. The men said, Is that Saul taking a dump?
And David's like, yeah, it is. It looks really corny.
And then that's weird. That's a New World export. How did he get that? He's Saul. He has connections. He has Indian connections. They're not even called that. Just stop. Stop.
You quit this bit right now.
The men said, This is the day the Lord spoke of when he said to you, I will give your enemy into your hands and for you to deal with as you wish. Then David crept up unnoticed and cut off a corner of Saul's robe.
That's not dealing with the issue.
So David creeps up behind Saul, who's pooping. Apparently pooping just in the middle of a cave, not in a corner or anything. He's in the middle because David can sneak up behind him. I'd at least lean up against a wall and kind of squat.
It's kind of like a wall sit.
But anyway, David sneaks up behind him, I assume smelling the poop. That's gotta be the worst part.
Probably a poopy smell.
And cuts off part of his robe, instead of murdering him, which he probably should have done.
And yes, we know it's the idea behind this is showing that David has the moral high ground, and he still respects and loves Saul.
Afterward, David was conscience-stricken for having cut off a corner of the robe. Ugh. That was such a nice robe! I ruined it! It's ruined! He said to his men, The Lord forbid that I should do such a thing to my master. The Lord anointed or lay my hand on him, for he is the anointed of the Lord.
Apparently, the anointed is also like Tim Gunn, because he's the only person that would be upset about ruining a robe in the history of people.
I just couldn't make it work. With these words, David sharply rebuked his men and did not allow them to attack Saul. And Saul left the cave and went on his way, and thought, Man, this cave's echoes are really weird. They sound like rabble. Then David went out of the cave and called out to Saul, My lord is king! Then Saul looked behind him. David bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground.
And then Saul said, How long have you been there?
Did you watch me poop, dude? He said to Saul, Why do you listen when men say David is bent on harming you? This day you have seen with your eyes how the Lord delivered you into my hands in the cave. Some urged me to kill you, but I spared you. I said I will not lay my hands on my Lord, because he is the Lord's anointed. Even though, Samuel anointed you too, David, but whatever. See, my father? Look at this piece of robe in your hand. I cut off the corner of your robe, but did not kill you. See that there is nothing in my hand to indicate that I am guilty of wrongdoing or rebellion.
Except you ruined this fucking robe,
which
was super nice.
Favorite robe. I'm so mad. I'm madder than I was before. I have not wronged you, but you are hunting me down to take my life.
I would rather be dead than have a ruined robe.
May the Lord judge between you and I. And may the Lord avenge the wrongs you have done to me, but my hand will not touch you. As the old saying goes, from evildoers cometh evil deeds. You know, that thing people say all the time. So my hand will not touch you. Against whom has the king of Israel come out? Who are you pursuing? A dead dog? A flea?
Neither of those things are myself.
May the Lord be our judge and decide between us. May he consider my cause and uphold it. May he vindicate me by delivering me from your hand.
Okay.
When David finished saying this, Saul asked, Is that your voice, David, my son?
What? So this guy who you've known for years has a beautiful, moving monologue in front of you, kind of tearing up, holding a piece of your robe, and he just watched you shit. And you're like, who are you?
Is that David?
What? Did not put that together until the very end.
Whoops.
Oopsies. Say that over?
You are more righteous than I, he said. You have treated me well, but I have treated you badly. You have just now told me the good you did to me. And the Lord delivered me into your hands, but you did not kill me. Thanks, Saul. That's accurate as to what he just said.
Is not killing a good, or is it just not a bad?
In the Old Testament, not killing is about as good as you get.
That's fair.
When a man finds his enemy, does he let him get away unharmed? May the Lord reward you well for the way you treated me today. I know that you will surely be king, and the kingdom of Israel will be established in your hands. That thing I was mad about before, because you didn't kill me, I'm totally cool with it now, even though I had no reason to think you would kill me before, other than to assume you were trying to get the throne anyway. But I'm okay with that now?
I have a very flawed character motivation.
Now swear to me by the Lord that you will not kill off my descendants or wipe out my name from my father's family. So David gave his oath to Saul, then Saul returned home, but David and his men went up to the stronghold. So, the best thing you can say about David is, apparently, he'll agree not to wipe out your entire family.
I guess.
Yeah.
And he'll watch you poop.
Yeah.
Which is... That's a bro code thing that not many people abide by. They should. I mean, it's in there, but, thou shalt watch bro poop.
Doesn't your mom watch our show sometimes?
I don't know what she does.
I know you said she did.
She's a weirdo.
Hi, Jake's mom.
She won't see this.
Oh. Anyway.
She doesn't know what the fuck we talk about. She just laughs.
Remember that time at Jake's birthday? Everyone got hammered, and there was a hole in your wall for a while because someone punched it?
Remember that time Jake was the most hammered at that party?
Oh, that was funny.
Good times, good times.
That was a funny story. One time at Jake's party...
I should tell stories.
Oh, okay. Tell the punch in the wall story.
So it was my birthday, and I had a big party, and there was a lot of people. And it was one of those parties where everyone's excited to see you, and because it's your birthday, they're like, hey, drink with me. So I said yes, and I drank with every single person. So, what ends up happening is I get extremely drunk, and I start throwing up, which is rare for me. I don't often throw up when I drink. That's how much I drank. My best friend, Dave, who just got married, shout out Dave, he's out there, and he watches me throw up, and then everyone sings happy birthday while I throw up, and then I'm kind of, like, incapacitated for a little while. Then I hear commotion. What happened is, Dave's sister, who was also there, she's kind of a friend too, was talking to a guy. Not, like, romantically, but he was trying to smoke in the house. And she's like, hey, please don't smoke in the house. And he goes, why? And she goes... because you shouldn't smoke in the house. And then he kind of gets mad and in her face. And he's a pretty big guy. And she says, what are you going to do, hit me? And he goes, maybe. And then she says, hit me. So he does.
He punched her in the face.
And it wasn't like a violent punch.
It was like, you told me to punch you, so I'm going to punch you in the face.
It wasn't like something that you would be disgusted at seeing. It was something that you could easily justify being angry about. So Dave lost his mind and tried to hunt this kid down. Doesn't matter. That didn't end up happening. They didn't fight. But he did come into the bathroom I was staying in for the time being and told me the story and then goes, I'm really mad, and then punches a wall.
He punched a huge hole in its wall. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that was like 4 years ago now, but good time.
That was good.
Good time.
I left before that happened.
It's alright.
That's good. The cops got called, so it's probably good I left before.
Nah, nothing happened.
Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I mean, you can follow us on Twitter at Bible Reloaded.
I'll tell you more about the story if you want. Or you can follow Hugo, but he doesn't.
Yeah,
he's not there.
At Hugo Reloaded. I mean, you can donate to our Patreon.
That's always good.
You can.
I can fix the hole in that wall.
Yeah, that'd be good. But until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
This has been the Bible Reloaded. Next week, we discover which young actress who played Annie is the most susceptible to pedophiles.
Oh.